Have you ever stopped to just look around and marvel at all the life on our planet? Seriously, think about it. Our Earth is home to millions upon millions of living things. We're talking everything from the tiniest insects buzzing in your backyard to those massive trees reaching way up into the sky. The sheer diversity of animals and plants is absolutely mind-blowing. But with so many different creatures out there, scientists face a massive challenge. How do you possibly organize it all? How do you make sense of this wild, wonderful living world? Well, let's dive right into this explainer and find out exactly how they do it.
So think about this for a second. How in the world do scientists keep track of millions of living things? If you just had a giant endless list of millions of animals, it would be pure chaos. To solve this, scientists use a brilliant system called classification. Think of it kind of like organizing a giant, incredibly messy closet. You wouldn't just throw all your clothes in a giant pile, right? You'd group your shirts together, your pants together, your shoes together. Well, scientists do the exact same thing with living organisms. They organize them into specific groups to help us actually understand them.
In today's explainer, we're going to explore the blueprint of the natural world. We'll be looking at two of the most important classification groups scientists use to bring order to the chaos: species and genus. Let's break down exactly what these groups mean, how they connect, and why this system is the ultimate key to understanding life on Earth.
All right, Section 1. Zooming in. What exactly is a species?
Basically, a species is a group of living things that are very, very similar. But hey, it's not just about looking alike. They have the same basic needs to survive, they usually live in similar places, and here is the really crucial part. They can reproduce together to have babies or offspring. That specific ability to create the next generation together is what truly locks an animal or plant into a specific species.
To figure out if two organisms are members of the exact same species, scientists use a 4-point checklist. Number 1, do they look similar? 2, do they eat similar food? 3, do they live in similar habitats? And 4, can they reproduce with each other? If you can check all of those boxes, you are looking at a single species.
You definitely know some of these already. A wolf, that's a species. A red fox, entirely different species. And it's not just animals. Plants have species too, like a birch tree or an oak tree. And of course, there's us. Humans are a single species, known scientifically as Homo sapiens. Literally every person on Earth belongs to that exact same species.
Let's take an example that might be sitting right on your couch. Think about domestic cats. You might have a fluffy orange cat, a sleek black cat, or a tiger stripe cat. Now, they might look a little different from one another, but they all eat the same kind of food, live in similar habitats, like our homes, and they can have kittens together. Because of all that, all domestic cats belong to one single species, the domestic cat or Felis catus.
Well, hold on a second. This brings up a really great question. What happens when species are related but not exactly the same? What if you have a domestic cat, but you also have a wild cat living in the forest or a lynx prowling in the snow? They look super similar, right? But they're actually completely different species. So how do scientists group them? Enter the genus. A genus is a group of closely related species. You can think of a genus kind of like a big umbrella. Underneath that one umbrella, you can fit several different species that share a ton of common characteristics. They're like a larger, extended family. They aren't the exact same species, but they are clearly related. Let's look at the genus Felis, which represents the cat family. Underneath this umbrella, we have our domestic cat, Felis catus, but we also have the lynx, Felis lynx, and the wild cat, Felis sylvestris. Now these are three completely different species. However, because they share similar body structures, sharp teeth, retractable claws, and hunting behaviors, scientists group them all together into the single genus called Felis. So, the most important thing to grasp here is how these two groups connect. The genus is the larger group that acts like an extended family, including several related species. The species? Well, that's a smaller, very specific group of nearly identical organisms contained right inside that genus. It's a perfect hierarchy. Let's test this out on another animal you definitely know: dogs. Check out the genus Canis. Inside this genus, we have the wolf, Canis lupus, we have the domestic dog, Canis familiaris, and we have the jackal, Canis aureus. Just like the cats, these are distinct, separate species. A wild wolf and your neighbor's golden retriever are different species for sure, but they share so many dog-like traits that they belong in the exact same genus.
Moving right along to Section 2, the secret code. Let's understand scientific names.
This whole naming thing might sound complicated, but the code is actually incredibly simple. It's called binomial or two-part Latin naming. Step 1, the very first word is always the genus. Step 2, the second word is always the species. And that is it. By just looking at an organism's two-part scientific name, you instantly know its extended family and its exact specific identity.
Let's crack the code on a few we've already talked about. Homo sapiens, that's the human. Homo is our genus, and sapiens is our species. Canis lupus, that's the wolf. Canis is the dog genus, lupus is the specific wolf species. Felis catus, the domestic cat. It is just such an elegant, brilliantly simple system.
Okay, let's take a step back for a second and ask the big question. Why is all this organizing and naming actually important? Why do scientists spend so much time figuring out which animals belong to which genus and species? I mean, it's not just to make neat lists. It has a massive, real-world impact.
This system actually helps us save the planet. Classification allows scientists to study living things effectively and really understand the hidden family relationships between organisms. Crucially, it helps us protect rare species. Because think about it, if we know exactly what an animal needs to survive based on its species, we can actually protect its habitat. And finally, it helps us trace the incredible history of evolution on Earth. And speaking of incredible, get ready for this absolutely mind-blowing fact. You know the biggest, most powerful cats on Earth, right? Lions, tigers, jaguars, and leopards? They look wildly different. Some have manes, some have stripes, some have spots. They live on totally different continents. But even though they are different species, they are so fundamentally related that they all belong to the exact same genus, Panthera. It just goes to show how deeply connected the living world truly is.
So let's wrap this up with our key takeaways. Just remember the latter. A species is a smaller group of very similar organisms that can reproduce together. And a genus is that larger umbrella group that includes several related but slightly different species. At the end of the day, this system of classification isn't just about memorizing some fancy Latin names. It's the essential tool that helps scientists better understand, respect, and protect the amazing, vibrant diversity of life on Earth. Because when we understand how nature is organized, we can do a much better job of taking care of it.
I'll leave you with this final thought. Imagine you are trekking through a deep jungle, and you discover a brand new animal tomorrow. Now that you know exactly how the secret code works, what two-part Latin genus and species name would you give it? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the amazing world around you.